Hey, what's up, guys? So, over the past couple of years, I've pretty much been exclusively creating content on an evidence-based approach to supplementation in order to improve men's health. However, one of the primary criticisms that I've gotten over the years,
You're doing it wrong. You're doing it all wrong.
has been people kind of just commenting and saying that I'm majoring on the minors and focusing too minutely on supplementation in particular. And to some degree, this is somewhat true. I do try my best to essentially dive extremely deep into the mechanisms of action of specific supplements so that you guys can get a general grasp of how they interact in the body. However, I am extremely convinced that the most important factor by far when it comes to overall health and nutrition is just that, nutrition as a whole. Not just the supplements that you are taking, but also the foods that you are ingesting as well. And so essentially what I want to do in this video is dive into some of the most potent health foods that are known to mankind that have also been shown to improve testicular function and testosterone levels as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. A huge thanks to Let's Get Checked for sponsoring this video. Now, when it comes to foods that have the capacity to improve testicular function as well as improve testosterone production, there are usually two primary things that you want to look at, and that is the macronutrient content of that particular food as well as the micronutrient content of the food. Now, primarily the macronutrients that we're going to be looking for in specific foods are going to be 1, cholesterol, and 2, saturated fat, and then the micronutrient content of the foods that we're going to be looking at today are going to vary widely. However, there are a handful of extremely critical and crucial micronutrients that we do specifically want to look for in our foods. Now, the first food on our list today is going to be beef. Now, beef is extremely high in zinc, vitamin B12, magnesium, as well as cholesterol and saturated fat. And an 8-ounce serving of beef will provide you with roughly 100% of your daily value of zinc. Now, almost all vitamins and minerals at some level have an effect on the production of testosterone in the body. However, again, there are arguably a handful of them that are most important, and zinc seems to be arguably the most important, maybe right next to things like magnesium. Now, beef in particular seems to be the most appreciable source of dietary zinc and is one of the main reasons that I tend to prioritize beef in my diet on a semi-daily basis. Now, again, beef is also extremely high in vitamin B12, and an 8-ounce serving of beef will roughly provide you with 200% of your daily value of vitamin B12. And now, vitamin B12 is most importantly involved in the metabolism of energy in the body, and specifically the production of energy and taking food products and turning them into energy in the body. However, vitamin B12 also has an extremely protective effect on testicular function, and though it doesn't necessarily increase testosterone, again, it does have an extremely protective effect on testicular function. Now, beef also seems to be the most appreciable source of dietary vitamin B12 and is one of the reasons why almost every single vegan on the planet is deficient in vitamin B12 and seems to supplement with it. However, if you are consuming several servings of beef per week, this typically will take care of your vitamin B12 needs. Now, an 8-ounce serving of beef will also provide you with a roughly 10% of your daily value of magnesium. And this may not actually seem like a lot of magnesium. However, I do think it is worth pointing out here that the animal sources of magnesium are extremely bioavailable and are several times more bioavailable than the plant sources of magnesium. And so though there isn't a ton of magnesium in beef, there is an appreciable amount of magnesium in beef. And again, it is much more bioavailable, making it much more readily absorbed through the gut lining and then able to kind of get into the cellular structures that it needs to. Now, beef is also relatively high in saturated fat, and saturated fat has been repeatedly shown to be positively correlated with testosterone levels, and in controlled trials where saturated fat is replaced with plant oils, there is a noticeable drop in testosterone levels in every single study that this has been performed in. And so I'm actually not 100% sure what the exact mechanism here is. However, it does appear that there is somewhat of a protective and stimulatory effect of saturated fats on testosterone production. Now, again, one of the reasons that beef is so beneficial for testosterone production is because it is relatively high in cholesterol as well. And an 8-ounce serving of beef will provide you with roughly 100 milligrams of cholesterol. And cholesterol is essentially one of the primary building blocks of testosterone in the body. It's essentially one of the foundational substrates that your body uses to then convert into various sex hormones within the body. And so if you do have a deficiency of cholesterol through the diet, there typically is a noticeable drop in sex hormones as well. Now, the next food on our list is eggs. Now, eggs are relatively high in things like cholesterol and vitamin D, selenium, iodine, and vitamin B12. Now, again, cholesterol is extremely important to overall production of sex hormones in the body, and eggs are arguably the highest and most appreciable source of dietary cholesterol, with 4 eggs providing roughly 680 milligrams of cholesterol, and is one of the reasons that I consume roughly 4 to 5 eggs every single morning. Now, 4 eggs will also provide you with roughly 120% of your daily value of vitamin D. And vitamin D is interesting because it not only serves as a vitamin in the body, but also serves as a signaling hormone in the body that's intricately involved in the production of testosterone in the testes. And what's also interesting about vitamin D is that it's relatively rare through dietary sources, and eggs and fish really seem to be the only appreciable sources of vitamin D. And again, by consuming only 4 eggs per day will actually meet your daily recommended intake of vitamin D. Now, eggs are also extremely high in selenium and will also provide you with roughly 160% of your daily value of selenium. And now, selenium is somewhat of a rare trace mineral, somewhat similar to things like boron, and doesn't really get a lot of attention. However, almost all of your minerals have a very intricate role in the production of testosterone and the health of the testes, and eggs seem to be the most appreciable source of selenium as well. Now, a serving of 4 eggs will also provide you with roughly 160% of your daily value of iodine, and now iodine gets a lot of attention within the thyroid health community for being one of the minerals that are intricately involved and responsible for the production of thyroid hormones, and there is a lot of truth to this. And one thing in particular that's worth noting here is that thyroid hormones also have a extremely positive regulatory effect on the HPG axis, which means that the higher your thyroid hormones, typically the higher your luteinizing hormone and testosterone production is as well. Now, another thing that's worth noting here is that iodine deficiency is actually so common that table salt is actually fortified with iodine to prevent deficiency. However, again, if you are consuming roughly 4 eggs a day, this is something that you just don't have to worry about. Now, eggs are also extremely high in vitamin B12 and provide roughly 160% of your daily value of vitamin B through just 4 eggs as well. And again, vitamin B12 has more of a protective effect on testicular function. However, eggs also seem to be an extremely appreciable source of vitamin B12 as well. Now, the next food on our list today is fish. Now, the primary reason that fish is on our list today is because it is fairly high in 2 micronutrients, specifically magnesium and vitamin B6. Now, fish is arguably the best source of magnesium of any food, simply because the magnesium that is contained in fish is in an extremely bioavailable form, and an 8-ounce serving of fish provides roughly 20% of your daily value. And again, that may not sound like a lot, but because of how bioavailable it is, I do believe it to be one of the best sources of magnesium through the diet. Now, fish are typically also extremely high in vitamin B6, and an 8-ounce serving of fish will provide you with roughly 100% of your daily value of B6. And vitamin B6 is super important because of its extremely important role in the production of dopamine in the central nervous system. And dopamine is really one of those neurotransmitters that has an extremely positive regulatory effect on the HPG axis. axis and does a fantastic job at suppressing the production of prolactin, which then also has a positive regulatory effect on luteinizing hormone and testosterone. And so because of the relatively high content of both magnesium and vitamin B6, as well as fish's extremely high content of omega-3 fatty acids, fish is one of the few foods that I try to eat on a somewhat daily basis. Now, the next food on our list today is going to be liver. Now, I know this one isn't extremely appetizing. However, liver is literally one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, right next to eggs. However, what makes liver so special is because of its extremely high content of preformed vitamin A. Now, vitamin A can be found in several different plant sources as well. However, when you consume it through plants, your body actually has to go through the process of converting it from unusable vitamin A into usable vitamin A, and this is a fairly expensive process, and so it takes several times the amount of plant-sourced vitamin A in order to equal the equivalent of a animal-sourced vitamin A. Now, vitamin A is extremely important for several processes within the body. However, it is also intimately involved in the protection and maintenance of proper testicular function. And there's actually an interesting study that was published that was comparing the effects of vitamin A in youth to some designer steroids, and they were actually unable to differentiate the effects of supplemental preformed vitamin A when compared to designer steroids. Now, because this study seems so ridiculous, I do think it needs to be replicated. However, it does show promise as somewhat of a testicular and testosterone boosting vitamin. Now, for those of you that don't like the taste of liver, like myself, you can opt for things like a desiccated liver supplement, which I am a huge fan of and have been taking for a couple of years now. And my liver supplement honestly has become somewhat of a foundational supplement within my supplement regimen. Now, the next food on our list is raisins, believe it or not. And the reason raisins are on our list today is because they are relatively high in a trace mineral known as boron. Now, for those of you that have seen my video on boron, you'll know just how beneficial boron seems to be to testicular function and testosterone production as well. And raisins seem to be the most appreciable source of dietary boron. Now, there is an argument to be made about how bioavailable that boron is because of the fact that it is found in a plant. However, I do like to consume raisins on a somewhat frequent basis, especially around my workout window and specifically right after my workout in order to replenish glycogen levels. And though I am a fan of a somewhat low to moderate carbohydrate intake, raisins are one of the foods that I like to consume, again, specifically right around my workout window. Now, the last food on our list today is actually going to be honey. Now, I think this one is extremely interesting because almost every single study that has ever been performed on the association of sugar intake with testosterone has found a negative association even in some controlled trials. And so the fact that this meta-analysis actually showed an association and a direct correlation with honey intake and testosterone levels is somewhat surprising. Now, again, I am somewhat of a fan of limiting carbohydrate intake outside of my workout window just for its benefits to cognition and kind of stabilizing my blood sugar throughout the day. However, specifically during my workout, I love to consume honey for its immediate effects on exercise performance as well as its testosterone regulatory properties as well. Now, the reason honey is able to do this, I don't think is extremely clear at the moment. However, again, this is one of the carbohydrate sources that I like to prioritize into my diet. Now, if you're looking for natural ways to increase testosterone levels, one of the first steps is going to be actually getting a complete hormone profile done. Everyone's hormones are at a completely different place, and so there just really isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to optimizing your hormone profile. Some guys have low testosterone coupled with high prolactin and low estrogen, while others have normal testosterone levels but have high estrogen and low free testosterone. And so the approach that is effective for one guy may actually be detrimental to another. And so if you haven't had your hormone hormone profile checked yet, I would highly recommend looking into my friends over at Let's Get Checked. They have one of the most comprehensive tests on the market, and what's more is that you can actually do it at home. Once you've purchased your test, they'll actually send you your test to your doorstep, where you will collect your sample at home and send it back, and within a few days you'll get your results through their online portal, along with a free consultation with a practitioner that will walk you through your personal results. Now, this is a super sweet deal, so make sure to check out the link in the description down below for 30% off of your test. But other than that, guys, if you're looking for more proven supplements that can be used to safely increase testosterone levels, make sure to check out the free guide that I have on my website, as well as the links to my favorite ashwagandha supplement. But other than that, guys, I think that is it for this video. And so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.